Blah.
Raphael, you look ridiculous. Alright, what's going on? So, we're going to be talking about the episode The Curse of Dracula. And was actually one thing I really liked about this episode, so when we see the episode title, we actually have this cool horror movie classic font. It really looks really cool, really fitting for this episode. It almost kind of makes me wish that the previous episode actually had that little font, where it just made it more special and it fits with the whole Halloween mood, which I really enjoyed. And if you guys actually watched this episode when it first aired, it actually aired together with the previous episode, The Curse of Savante Romero, which is actually really cool. And instead of being on Nickelodeon, it was on Nicktoons, like Raphael Mutant Apocalypse, which is nice. Actually, what I will say, what I really liked about that airing was that it was actually at 8 in the evening, and it actually kind of feels really cool, kind of watching a new episode in prime time. I actually really enjoyed that. Are you okay, Raphael?
He's sick. Jason.
Yes.
You have a very good neck.
That's really weird. So, at this episode, it opens up. We see the Turtles and Renette. They are actually in Transylvania.
Transylvania? Isn't that next to New York? That's Pennsylvania, dummy!
And I'm sure everybody knows this, but you guys don't. Transylvania, it is the location of probably one of my favorite Halloween monsters, which is Count Dracula. And in fact, we even see his castle, which is actually pretty cool. Not only we see Dracula in here, we actually see werewolves as they're actually attacking people in Transylvania. In here, something I really like is at one point the Turtles, they actually meet two traveling gypsies, and the two new characters, they actually have European accents, which is a really nice touch that they add.
We must take care of ourselves first, Esmeralda.
Not only we have them, we also have Dracula, which, if you guys remember from the previous episode, we actually saw him really briefly, and we actually see him over here again. And at one point, very beginning, Raphael? Alright, so, as I was saying, at the beginning, we see that Raphael, he actually meets up with Dracula, and he actually gets bitten. Well, we don't actually see the bite.
What happened to you, bro?
And now I think about it, I thought we rewatched the first episode from this arc, but I don't think we saw April get bitten either. But it's almost kind of we have it alluded to, but we don't actually get to see anyone physically bitten. Raphael? Were you trying to bite my arm?
No, my teeth are bleeding.
So, do you need to go brush your teeth?
I have a sharpening toothpaste.
Sharpening tooth? Oh gosh. Alright, Raphael's gonna go brush his teeth now. So, obviously from the episode title, Dracula and vampires was very expected to be in this episode. What I wasn't expecting to see was actually werewolves. And especially just from the action figure wise, because we have an action figure of the Mummy, we have an action figure of Count Dracula, we have an action figure of werewolf, and we also have a action figure of Frankenstein. I was expecting with this arc that each of those 4 monsters would just get its own episode. I wasn't expecting just 2 of them to be shared in an episode. We'll see. We'll see how it kind of pans out. And I'm kind of interested how on how like the last episode is going to play out now, just because it's already kind of breaking my expectations. Now, at the end of this episode, we do get a tease of what the next monster will be, and if you just pay attention to what I just said like 5 seconds ago, you can already kind of figure it out from there. And also, if you also paid attention to the previous episode, because we actually saw that monster really briefly. Now, speaking of toys, so when the turtles they come in, Renat's like, oh, okay, you know, we gotta blend in. So they get into these like, you know, these like kind of old European costumes, which actually looks like fits really well, and like, you know, and like I actually really like that the hats, like each of the turtles have like different hats. Like,
Ooh, liking the hats.
Michelangelo, he ends up having like a top hat, while like Donatello has like that Indiana Jones kind of hat. Raphael has like, you know, a like I think it's kind of a pork pie, I think it's called. Not 100% sure what they call that hat, but I know it starts with a P and ends with a pie, something like that. So, but for toy wise, now I have not seen these toys myself, but they are advertised in the back of these boxes that we see that they have Leonardo and Raphael. I don't know if they have plans to make Michelangelo and Donatello. Me personally, that's kind of weird for, especially since all four had these kind of clothes. In fact, at one point, Leonardo, he gets excited about his outfit, and he says like, "Oh man, I look like Van Helsing," and he's like, "Man, you know what? I look better than Van Helsing." I actually really like Leonardo's excitement from there. Something else I like about these clothes, like when they start fighting, just because I have this like large love for capes, and like I just love the way, especially when it moves around and gets animated. Well, these are all like trench coat type of clothing, and the way like they start fighting and they just move around, it flows really well. I actually really enjoyed that. And not only Raphael,
Do you want to brush your teeth?
no, that is gross. We don't share toothbrush in this house.
Do you want to touch my teeth?
Why would I want to touch your teeth? I think that's even grosser.
They're very sharp.
No, I don't want to touch your teeth. So not only do the turtles have new clothes, they also have like new weapons, which actually fits well. It actually fits well with the turtles. What I'm actually really surprised of, and what I kind of like, is that like we don't have them having weapons that match like their normal weapons, except for Donatello. Donatello has a staff that has like this protection kind of thing, but he has to believe in it.
You have to have faith for that to work on me.
And it kind of gets in there in the plot, but like Leonardo has like this like stake gun, and Michelangelo has kind of like this wrist kind of like crossbow thing on his arm. Actually, it's actually really cool that we actually have them going to different weapons that, you know, we're not accustomed to for these turtles. Now, if you look at the back of Leonard's shell, he still has the swords and everything. I'm pretty sure at one point like he'll start using his swords again, like when he needs to. So in this episode, we do get into the horror movie cliches, in which Michelangelo really explains how, like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, I saw it from this movie. Oh, I saw it from this movie. I read it from this comic book and stuff like that. But, like, you know, your typical things, werewolves don't like silver. You know, we see a bunch of stakes, like wooden stakes, not like meat steaks, guys. All right, yeah. Raphael?
I just wanted to smell your cologne.
But I'm not wearing any cologne.
Can you do this?
You want me to do that?
No. Do this.
Why would you want me to do that?
Because the video looks better. I just brush my teeth.
All right. Also going back with the turtles and the whole like disguises and everything, which is actually a really funny point where like Renette's like, oh, we gotta wear these disguises so you guys blend in, and then when the turtles meet the two characters I talked about earlier, the first thing they saw is like, they're like, hey, these are giant turtles, and they're like, oh, guess the disguises didn't work. Oh, like from there, it was really painfully obvious to me that it was like, okay, we're just making these to sell toys, even though we're only making 2 of the toys out of the 4. But also at that point, we see Renette. She actually like takes off her time helmet thing, and she takes off her hood, and which Michelangelo starts fawning over her as he gets really attracted. It's a weird kind of hairstyle. It's like,
I'm thirsty.
do you want some water? Oh, but it's a weird kind of hairstyle that she has where it looks short, but she has like this big braid that goes all around. Obviously, you know, it's obviously something with from the future. But it for me it's kind of weird. It was nice to actually see her kind of go this way, just because from what we've seen from her in previous episodes, we've just always seen her in the helmet. It's actually kind of cool to see like underneath. What was also kind of weird for me is like, you know, she's like, oh, we gotta make sure that we don't stand out and everything. Well, all she does is just, instead of giving her like normal clothes like she did with the turtles, she's still wearing that blue dress with all the clocks on it, which I don't know why she didn't just give herself an outfit too. And speaking of Renette, like we see that like, you know, she's still trying to say the slang, but she's saying it wrong. Like, you know, instead of saying cool, she says,
Isn't this super cold?
also in here, we see Savante Romero again, because obviously he's trying to form his group. For me, it was kind of weird that someone like Dracula, and like, just because every time I associate Dracula, I associate, like, you know, he's like, to me, he's always been like the king of the monsters, just because of like how he is, and like he's actually working for Savante, which is kind of, to me, that's kind of weird. Like, so we see Dracula, we see the Pharaoh Mummy again, like as they're forming their team, and of course the big unfortunate part is that Raphael, he got spin towards the beginning of the episode, and throughout the whole episode, like the turtles are trying to save him, as it is very clear that Raphael gets into control of Count Dracula. Is that what happened to you? Are you under the control of Count Dracula? Back. I'm gonna go. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this episode, and what do you think about, like, you know, Dracula and Wolfman, and let me know like some of your favorite Halloween monsters out there. I gotta go because this Raphael wants to bite me, and I gotta find a cross. I gotta get like a wooden stake. Alright, till next time, guys. Alright, see ya.
In the month of Halloween, vampires shouldn't be thirsty. But if you're having an idea, put a like on this video and comment. If you can do this, did you subscribe? I'm coming for you.
Bleh, bleh, bleh. Bleh.